This week's episode, my guest is my good friend and former co-host of the show, Gatsby the artist. Now, Gatsby is a videographer and a photographer and a podcast producer here in Phoenix, Arizona. He's been the producer for shows like The Matty Ice Show. He's currently the producer for the High Key podcast, which features 2021 Miss Arizona, who is also season 1 contestant of Farmer Wants a Wife, Cassidy Joe Jacks, which you can find on Hulu, and of course, The Eric Bernal Show, and many more. Gatsby has also taped for many well-known comedians who have come through Phoenix and headlined the clubs here, like Chris DiStefano, Neemish Patel, Jessica Kierson, and many more. Gatsby and I catch up since the last time we filmed a podcast together, and we go deep in this episode talking about comedy, life, and everything else. And if you haven't yet, please make sure that you subscribe wherever you get your podcast to the Funny Truth Podcast and leave us a review so that I know what kind of guests you want me to bring on, what I could do better, what kind of topics you'd like me to cover, or things you'd like me to go deep into. This is the Funny Truth Podcast with Adam J.
That is the funny truth.
Look the same, like you wouldn't know that much of a difference. That one has like that one has a few more screw holes on it for like the thing, but
It feels like an opening of like Take Your Shoe Off or whatever. Rick Glassman shit.
Rick Glassman. I don't even know who that is.
You don't? I don't know why I always, because I think you would enjoy it.
Is he that like
he has glasses?
Is he that
Yeah,
autistic?
autistic.
Yeah. Didn't he have an interview with Bobby Althoff and he was like,
Yeah. He was just like, why? Just why anything? YMCMB. You fucker. I thought you heard it the first time in the headphones, so that's why I didn't even warn you about it, but I guess. Wow. I want to mute you real quick. You want to hold it?
yeah, I'm gonna have to hold it. I'm too tall for this.
Oh, I mean,
I could move it around, but
oh, I know what you mean. It's not like right in your face. Yeah, that makes sense. Just push it to the side so it's not like still there awkwardly. Thanks.
I had to crush this.
PBR Tuesday.
Cole, you still got that open mic? Have you been to their open mic? It's at
Whose?
Pub Rock.
Pub Rock?
Cole
Really?
and Christian had one.
I didn't know they still had it.
Tuesdays is the worst day for.
Anything.
Really? Yeah, but Taco Tuesday. But
When they're promoting, that's why they have stuff like that, because it's like it's the slowest day of the week for things. You should talk to the mic if you'd like.
is it recording?
Yeah, it's all recorded.
Oh, we started, man.
I mean, we can, or we don't have to. Yeah.
This is my first time.
Are you scared? It's your equipment now. How do you feel?
Oh man. Yeah, it's
like you hit the lottery.
It's like I hit the lottery. I literally did hit the lottery. It's a funny thing to say when you actually.
You literally hit the lottery. Like, it's not like a boast or anything like that. It's not a
Correction.
hyperbole.
I mean, my girlfriend hit the lottery.
For tax purposes. And for any, and you know what? We're just going to bleep that part too.
We may not. I don't give a fuck, dude. Because let me tell you something about taxes. Here's the thing that's frustrating to me is that's what funds a lot of the evil things that happen. That like people would be like, yeah.
Name the evil thing. One evil thing.
Wars. A lot of wars. Foreign aid for wars that you're like, why are they doing this war? You don't really have any information other than.
Yeah, because you're not there. So it's like,
well, yeah.
What's even happening with my money over there? You're telling me this, but it's like.
Well, yeah, like the what's the word I'm looking for? The something when something is and isn't at the same time.
Oh, a paradox?
Paradox, yeah. Paradox. It's like you'll have people that are protesting, fuck the police, blah, 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 blah. But then you also pay taxes.
Yeah.
That's what funds all of them.
Yeah.
And we'll just stop paying them. But then that would require like a complete self-reliance on like not working a job, because job automatically takes the money
Yeah, not
out.
working your job or just avoiding, your taxes. Like,
Pretty much.
and hoping they don't find you. Well, hoping it doesn't add up to a point where they have to find you, they feel in their eyes.
Right. There's probably a list. Like,
Yeah.
most people are going to just get the letters, but like if you're really important, they'll send someone for you if it's
Yeah. If you're high up on the rankings.
for sure. But I just don't know. Like, people will make fun of people for tax evasion and things like that, which, like, because that's like something a rich person would do. But that's like if you fundamentally don't support. Like where that stuff's going, there are ways to work like around it and not pay them or things like that,
Or like write them off to certain things, to
Right.
a certain degree.
And
Rich
maybe-
people figure that out.
right? Like, and you also have to somehow, you're paying an expert to help you with that too. It's not like
Yeah.
you just. It's
So
not
you
like-
have to have the principal capital to even avoid taxes.
Yeah, like I'll pay you $1 million, but it's going to save me 60 million. So
Yeah.
then it makes sense. But
Damn, we went into a really heavy subject.
well, I mean,
Just off bat.
I feel strongly about a lot of things on that, because it's like, where's this money going? Why are we paying it? But then like people that are all about like upset about all these things that are tragedies going on that are being funded by tax dollars would make fun of someone for not paying their taxes.
Yeah.
And like the whole American thing was started on fuck your taxes.
That's because most people that are, performatively against something, they're not seeing it all the way through,
Well, that's why I had that bit where I'm like, I think college kids love protesting because they have no clue about money yet.
They have nothing better to do.
No, yeah, you have like, you might, and then the tax the rich thing, like I get that, but it's still going.
Yeah.
And
It's the right message delivered by the wrong people.
Well, I don't think people, and maybe I'm off on this, but if you tax the rich, the people that are maybe funding the entire salary for a company or whoever's, in charge of that, you don't think that's going to have a trickle down effect, just like when you raise minimum wage? And then,
Are they? Is that like a thing that happens though? Like, I mean, in certain instances, I've known it to happen, but
yeah, you pass it down.
okay.
You pass it down. And then there's not just the tax that you get charged, but there's inflation taxes where your money's not worth as much as it was last year. You can't put your money in a savings account. It's losing money sitting in there because the interest is being loaned out at 10 times the rate to like huge conglomerates that are using it to buy up real estate or things like that. And so you're gaining no interest on your money and you're actually losing it to inflation. But then if you want to put it in an investment vehicle, you pay capital gains tax.
Yeah. Well, you're paying taxes all the way through.
Yeah, and
Uncle Sam's getting its cut every single
Right,
time you do
and-
any transaction that needs to be put on paper.
sure, but then like, and of course they're gonna say crypto's used by criminals. It's like the biggest. They say that like the biggest domestic terrorists are people who claim they're sovereign citizens. I remember in Portland they tried to do something about sovereign citizens, and maybe they.
What is a sovereign citizen? Like, what's the definition of a sovereign citizen?
Like, you'd have to look it up.
Okay.
But I was reading about it because I was looking into it, because a lot of it's like here's one thing, like there's one book I was reading and I have no idea how much of it is fact or fiction or what, and honestly there is no fact or fiction. It's really somebody's just going to take you out eventually or something of that nature.
So the first thing that comes up is the sovereign citizen movement is a loose group of anti-government activists, litigants, tax protesters, financial scammers, and conspiracy theorists based mainly in the United States.
But who wrote the article? Was it
That's a Wikipedia, so I'm curious to see like what.
Well, like when I was reading, because I was reading something similar, and it was like they're the biggest domestic terrorist threat, but it was also written from a university. I'm like, well, who funds the university? It's a state school. But like, here's a couple examples.
They just seem like disruptors of the norm, and it's they seem like law-abiding citizens, but it's just like
Well, it's more that libertarian feel where it's like, yo, just leave me alone. Like I'm already
I'm out the way. I'm not doing anything to bother anybody.
Well, so like one of the examples was like you don't actually need a driver's license.
That was like the main thing that came up.
Unless you're driving commercially and like doing it for business, you don't actually need a license, and supposedly they don't have the right to ask you for your license.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm genuinely a sovereign citizen, but I just never realized it. I think I just lost all my shit and never felt the need to get it back.
Dude, it's like I have to, like, not only, and that's why it's funny to me that people, use the word slavery, and all of a sudden all you think is black people and slave. But like, if you don't think you're a slave still,
yeah, because you have to have all this information and all this. Otherwise, you go to jail, or you get in trouble. You get written citation, which could lead to owing to this, which could lead to that. But it's just like, yeah, you're right. There are all these little constructs.
When it got you in this circle of like, oh, I got debt that I need to pay off, but I also need this job that I hate, but I really have this other hobby or passion that I'd love to do full time, but I'm so tired from doing this that like I only have like the weekends to do it.
Mm-hmm. The 40-hour work week.
And my coping mechanism on weekend is to do things that aren't productive.
Have you heard about the quiet quitting?
Yeah.
That's like where it's just like you just do your minimum work.
Dude, that's most people at jobs.
Yeah, but that's it. You do just what was that movie? Oh fuck! Now I can't think. Workspace.
Workspace or Office Space.
Office Space.
A great movie.
Amazing movie. I love that movie. It's like it's honestly inspirational.
Yeah. Fucking.
Like
here's
you do just enough to not get fired.
Like here's one that's interesting to me, because like I've done sales. I've never worked an hourly wage job since college.
Wow.
Like, that's the only time I've ever done it. I've always been sales or, made money. However, I've made money, and it's been it's legal, but like made money. Yeah. But like it's crazy to me how the slavery thing of like, I guess it hit me at a certain point that like nothing is more valuable than my time, and nobody else is gonna give a fuck about me more than I'm gonna give a fuck about me.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But like, I used to be in the sense like, oh, if I'm 5 minutes late, I'm gonna be in trouble. Like, no.
Isn't that crazy when you like let that go? That's such the most freeing thing in the world.
So liberating. But I still am amongst so many people that are like that. I'm like, it's okay. They need you more than you need them. Trust me.
Yeah.
Like, you're highly trained at your job. It would take them a long time.
Yeah. When I was a manager at Walgreens, it was like, well, are you going to leave it up to these guys? Because their combined IQ is not mine.
Right. And there's like, so yeah, when that hit me of my time being valuable, and then like fast forward, like I believe because I did sales, so it was like you got paid what you sold, and that's it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I worked 80-hour weeks. Other times I worked like 2 hours because like I closed a sale. I just made $5,000.
Yeah.
I made what someone would make in a month working all these hours. And then like my dad would work when COVID first hit. My dad was still working for Boeing. And so they had him like working at home.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, you can get your 8 hours of work done in 2. But he's like, yeah, but they like have our camera or the cameras and shit on like the laptop tracked, so it like times out every 5 minutes, so you have to be there to. I was like, that's slavery, bro. Like, if I can do this in 2 hours, then that should be it. Like,
because work should be what it is. It's like
that's
accomplish your task, and then
that's what I'm saying. But like, they're like, no, where are you going? Oh, Mr. 30-minute break. Like, bro, now that I've been in. Like when I was in the tire store a couple weeks ago and like I heard the employee banter, she's like, nice 1 hour break. If someone, like, dude, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be able to work a regular job because I would snap on somebody. Yeah. Like, mind your own fucking business, bitch. Like, I'll shoot this place up, dude. I don't care.
I remember one time I almost lost it. I almost screamed at an old woman that was another manager because there were these keys there, right, on the table, and they're like manager keys.
Yeah.
Like, you're not supposed to leave them out. And so I see her walk in. I was like, hey, are these your keys? She goes, no, are they yours? Why the fuck would I fucking ask you if they were mine?
I wonder what went into her, like, deflection to say that.
Yeah. I'm like, what? Like, what made you say that? Like, that's so frustrating. I was like, that's literally,
But then
the only thing I could hear that would make me angry.
You know what's funny is someone like that, like the quiet quitting people that like you'd be like, oh, they're lazy. They're not lazy at all. They're just doing the bare minimum. They like she's learned how to be like just deflect whatever you
whatever I'm bringing to her table.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%, man. People are so smart at like their survival mechanisms that they don't even know
that they're doing
how genius they are.
Yeah.
Like the 48 Laws of Power book is literally just a blueprint of how people have like been powerful over time and rules, but most people haven't read that book, but after you read it, you can go out. You know, that's how I learned. Like I'll read something in a book and be like, "Oh, that's crazy." But I have to see it now. Like I have to live it, and then you're like, "Oh, don't outshine the master." I've done that before.
Yeah,
that's why I told you like the last sales job I had was like, can we have a one-on-one? Like, I got some things I got to ask. I'm not gonna do it in front of the team.
Yeah,
but God damn it, fuck, and I got some things to say.
Yeah,
just like, and the way that people move about, they don't. But I don't even think they know that they're doing that. A lot of
they don't. A lot of times they're just. It's just. I mean, the learned method is better. Is going to be way better than you like trying to figure it out. Like they're actually genuinely like that.
Mm-hmm. And you can read that. You're like, oh, okay, this is like one of my favorites in there was to change my perspective was like never accept a free lunch because it always comes with strings attached.
Yeah,
I was like, when I used to do insurance sales presentations, we bring in pizza for everybody.
Oh yeah, that's one of the age old like let's have a banquet. You know, let's talk about this. You know.
So yeah, never accept a free lunch. That's like
I think the first time we hung out, I paid for the meal.
Yeah, like when I and that's fine. Like I'm gonna make sure that I get one of them back. But like anytime, yeah, if we can both afford to go separate, do it.
Yeah.
But I don't. I like to buy people things when I do have money, but
yeah,
I also don't believe. One, I am under any obligation to pay somebody something for anything they've done for me.
Dead ass.
But I also don't buy things for people and
expect something in return.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, like in like comedy, but I'm still taking note of it. Like there's people that I've helped get in front of like bookers and get put on shows. Helped them headline clubs by be like, hey, you should check my friend out. Mm-hmm. And then that, the person didn't do anything for me. I don't hold any animosity for it, but I'm just like.
But you take note of it.
I'm just like, yeah, they're not. I genuinely like one dude I got booked. I was like, he's genuinely good enough. I can help him. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna help him. He didn't ask me for it. I approached him for it and helped him.
Yeah, because that's how you felt. I mean, that's genuinely. I think I'm the same way. I'm like, I have no problem helping people. It's when I feel slighted or it's just like when I don't feel reciprocation.
Yeah, and you're gonna feel that, but you have to continue to just be selfishly give because you like to do it, not for anything in return.
For the love of the game. I've heard you say that like a lot too. Like for the love of the game. Like a lot of this is just like.
Well, I'm again, another thing I feel very strongly about. I joke around all the time, but I feel strongly in the comedy thing of like, even if like there's somebody that I don't think is funny, if I'm watching them kill in comedy, like I'll be like, okay, but even then I still feel like a little bit of like, bro, if we were in a room together, like there's they wouldn't cook.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said about when you talk to people in the green room,
and I know a lot of people who've maybe spoken badly on me.
Yeah,
that like when I walk in the room, they know who's like, this is clown class, dude. Like,
yeah,
I'm put on a clinic right now.
Yeah, I'm head clown.
Yeah, and I feel strongly about that in comedy. So if I feel like somebody's really funny and I think they deserve it, I'm like, you should, because people have done that for me.
Yeah.
People have also done that for me for no real reason. Like, there's a way to get booked in comedy in like a business way to like email and strategically do all that. Most of my bookings have come from just people reaching out to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, and then it's weird because I don't feel the need to get on stage ever.
You're not like itching for it ever.
No, but
That's
a lot of people are like that.
Oh yeah.
I'm not.
I know a lot of people in the scene that are just itching for a stage any chance they get.
And that's
It's not a bad thing either.
no shit. Like I look at it as basketball, like a gym rat.
Yeah.
I'll hoop anywhere.
Some people are built like that.
I something about getting on stage with a microphone is very narcissistic, and like,
Oh, yeah.
I get that. Like, well,
You're on a soapbox and just
like your thing that you said about comedians, like I'm important. I
these
was like,
comedians be like, I'm important.
I didn't even realize how funny that was till I saw the clip.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how like on point it was until like we really like unpacked it.
But yeah, like I'm not desperate to get to mics. I was in the beginning, but that was because I was trying to work on.
I think that goes with anything too. It's just like you get so hungry in the beginning that you want to do everything, and then once you do everything, you realize that's not it.
Yeah, man, I take quality over quantity.
Oh yeah,
At this point,
because you've done it all. You've gone to the seedy rooms and the wood sheds.
yeah. I think it's like it's something that you maybe have to experience just to know. And everyone has their own opinions on it. Everyone's their own thing. But if I'm looking at it from a 10,000 foot perspective, I'm looking at who's climbing the ranks, who's at the top. A lot of times it's people that you're like, man, who's not even funny, bro.
Yeah, some of our favorite comics, like we've had discussions about, like Keith Ellis. He doesn't. He just
A true professional, man. True professional.
No, nothing bad ever to say. Like he's such a through and through great comic.
Another guy that you wouldn't even know. I think you know, but
Yeah.
Brian Kahatsu, the general manager at Stir Crazy.
Oh yeah.
I think he's general manager. I don't know what he is, but he does the film and he's.
Oh yeah. He usually does film.
But he has a dry bar special, but like.
Wow.
And
I didn't know you had a dry bar special. Yeah, this is the first. Yeah, that's cool.
He does comedy, but like
It makes sense because he's very knowledgeable, but he's so nonchalant.
well, that's one thing I learned watching the game of comedy is like some of the people closest in the scene to me is like I would never see them in these dirty places doing open mics.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, and then the difference between an open micer versus because you could be an expert open micer and crush at some of the open mics, but that's not necessarily a good thing. Depending on what you're going for with comedy, I think setting the goals of what you want out of it. My goals are to, I'd love to have a special. I'd love to,
Yeah.
And part of it's just the art of like there is no definite goal.
No, because you can do. There's a lot of avenues to how you can succeed in comedy. I think, but there are levels though.
There isn't many better feelings though, or like times if you're having fun when you're just on stage in your rhythm with like a sold out crowd just crushing.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm in my element. Like I'm playing to my strengths right now of what I'm good at.
Yeah, because not many people get to experience that though.
And I don't get off stage like I just know the environments, and I like the pressure of like, oh, this is a paid audience that's here to fucking laugh, and like you got to deliver, and that makes my energy go like, okay, I'm gonna match the energy of what people have brought into it, versus I just don't have fun doing comedy like open mic type thing. I don't have fun. I don't think it's very productive towards it. And then not having, like, getting my car repoed was like a way to where I couldn't even get to mics.
So it like kind of made you take a step back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how do you really make money off of doing this? It's like,
Yeah.
you have to build your own brand, dude. If I was looking at it from that 10,000 foot perspective, you're better off in stand-up never doing stand-up and building a brand online and then just doing stand-up.
So if you had to say what the steps to succeeding in comedy would be, like would open mics be on that list?
I think you have to first define your own what success means.
Okay.
Like, is it a monetary figure?
What your ceiling is, like where you're headed.
Yeah. Is it just, are you just looking to the next day to like, where's the next mic? Or are you like, I'm trying to make, $60,000 a year, or I'm trying to make 6 figures a year doing this, or I want a special, I want to do this. You have to define what success is. I'm kind of like open-ended on it. I have certain things that I like to do.
Yeah.
Like have a special, and have like my own show that could be like streamed, like we've talked about. But like doing podcasts was like, that's almost like you almost have to have one at this stage. Like if you're up and going, and you don't even, you like, let's start a podcast. You don't even realize how much production goes into it. And
so many people do that.
You know, like I know it from just like, it was really easy for me to put myself in a booker's shoes when someone approached me and said, hey, I want you to run a show at my place of business once a month. Yeah. Blah, blah. And I was like, thinking of like, because I was always like, I hate how it's always the same fucking producers of shows who book each other on their own shows. Or like they book this person because they know they'll bring 30 people, but they suck.
Yeah.
But then shoe on the other foot, I'm like, who do I know that can bring
some people?
Exactly. And I was like, okay, I get it. So like with production value, like when we stopped doing our podcast, you just didn't tell me that it was a money thing. I was like, oh, I get it, dude. I just went and bought all this equipment, and then I'm like, even with all the equipment, there's still memory cards. There's still there's other equipment that comes from not just the cameras.
A lot of it had to do with just me not doing my other podcast and getting that revenue. So it was like, damn, now I'm like stressed out. Now I'm like, fuck. Now I don't have room for the fun stuff, I guess, is what my thing was. And it was just crazy. It was a crazy time.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're all going through it. Like, it's not like I was fucking having a blast either. Fuck
me,
like,
dog.
I fucking.
I think it was just a rough time for a lot of people, honestly. Like we were trying not to make it be, but economy wasn't doing so well, and still not. But we're kind of adjusting, I think, and it's just coming back around, and just evening out.
Yeah, it was, and that's like when I tell people my story of comedy, like just to, like, I don't want to get on a soapbox. I don't feel like I need to, cause I don't tell the story in a way that I want people that would call themselves empaths to be like, oh my God, that's crazy. It's just like, nah, I signed up for this.
You don't want the sympathy. You just want people to know your story.
Not even that. It's just like that's where I'm at with it, of like what I've sacrificed or what I've been like. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like sacrifice, because I'm like, I don't feel like I had a choice. The first time I did stand up at a comedy club, which was the first time I ever did it, once I got that first like laugh and felt it, and it was like a drug. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do.
It's a really good high.
Yeah, and I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. And everything else, like, I've paid the price for it. That if someone was getting into comedy, I'd say, like, first of all, define your own success. Second of all, what price are you willing to pay?
Yeah.
Because I think Cat Williams talked about it, and you can even see it on a local level, how much of some people they're willing to sell their soul immediately for, for getting spots or doing things.
Yes.
You'd be like, oh, okay. Like, at that point, that's what I don't like about the comedy industry, just entertainment industry, probably in general. It's not.
Yes.
It's not just comedy, but
it's industry all across the board.
It's like what J. Cole said. Like, I was just hoping the music would speak for itself, but the people want everything else.
Everything else.
You're like, it takes away from just actually being funny, and you're like, these people are.
It makes you not like it anymore.
Yeah, there's an element of that too. Yeah, I think.
Because when you realize all the other stuff, it was so pure when you didn't know anything else about it.
Just writing good jokes and getting the laughs was
getting the chuckles. And you were just
the art of it. Yeah, I mean,
then you're like, oh, I have to market myself. Oh, I have to put on show. Oh, I gotta,
Yeah, and I never want to. That's just like when you were like, you should start a podcast. I didn't want to start one for a long time because I was like, I'm just doing comedy podcast. I don't even know anything about that, and the way I'm wired is if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna do it all the way through. You're not gonna
correct
dabble in it.
Yeah, like when people would be like, "Yo, you wanna go snowboarding for the day at the mountain?" I'm like, "I've never been." It's okay, bro. I'm like, I'm not gonna get into this whole thing to go once where I could risk my body and like I'm either going to be good at it or I'm not going to even try it because it doesn't interest me. So for the podcast, I was like, I see the value, but I didn't really know what I was going to do it about or how I was going to do it. All the setup and equipment, and it is an arms race in a lot of ways too. Like,
It is. Yeah.
not
right.
only do you need to be, like I feel like I've hit a spot where I'm a very proficient joke writer. Where like, give me a topic, I'll spit out as many jokes as I can in a given time frame.
Yeah.
And if one or two of them is good, cool. If you got 10 people doing the same thing, then cool. And then you have an opening monologue for a late night TV show.
Yeah.
I feel like I do have that ability to write jokes quickly, just because
You do. Like, I've seen it firsthand. I remember when we went to Tucson, the laughs out there.
I was talking to Des about this on the last episode, where I was like, one of the hardest parts where I'm at now with comedy is what you really need. You still, to its core, you need a place that you can go try stuff, new stuff, and get honest, valid feedback on it.
Like a genuine litmus test.
Correct. And I think maybe you see the quality of people's comedy go down as they get more famous because people are like, that's Theo Vaughn, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't care what he says.
Correct.
Yeah, it's the bias in it because you followed them for so long and they feel like they're invested in it.
Correct. So that means Louis C.K.'s got to be really good.
He's so good. Honestly, he's amazing.
You might have made him better to like lose all the fans because like,
Yeah.
But like on a serious note, it's like, because if you're really good and you're booked almost every weekend and you're traveling and touring all the time, you're doing you're traveling probably Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah.
And traveling's not easy on your body either.
Right.
Like in the little bit of time that I've traveled, like if I don't take care of myself, I'm not in good shape.
Yeah.
So you're doing that. Then you got like Monday through maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday to go places and try stuff. The only places you can go on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night is a place like the Laugh Factory or the Comedy Store or the Comedy Cellar or the Comedy Mothership in Austin.
Yeah.
Stir Crazy in Glendale. Those are like where you're actually going to get a crowd that paid money to be there, and you can try new stuff and see how it goes. And those places, you're getting 10, 15, 20-minute spots where you can work, you can do your old stuff that's already working, and then in the middle work in the newest bits. So you still have a good set and you still do well and you earn your money, but like you're still like working on this new
I
stuff.
feel like Stir Crazy's so underrated.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's sold out every week at that open mic. Like I'm
Insane.
and they changed the format of it too. Like I had it strategic, and I had that shit. That's why I didn't feel bad. Like I hacked their system. I figured out because I was like, there's nobody signing up before me.
Yeah.
Because for those of you listening, to get on their open mic, you had to sign up on I want to say a Monday when I first got here.
Yeah, it was a Monday, I think, and then they moved it to Sunday.
You had to sign up Monday at noon, and like the first 10 people get on, and first time I ever signed up, boom, got on, and I had like a clock, like I had like a split screen, like a clock, or I was using my phone that would tell me exactly when it turned like
Like the most accurate, like live time.
11:59:59, and then, like hit the refresh, and boom, it's up, and then autofill, boom, done by like 12, maybe 5 seconds past noon, and it happened by accident. The second time I signed up, I just did the autofill, and it put like my regular email address in, not my comedy one, and it
And it let you through.
let me through, and I was like, huh. So I did it again the next week with a different one.
Yeah. It just checks the email.
I got through, and then Lamar posts on his story that's like same day and was like, yo, just to let you know, if you're using a different email every week to sign up, blah 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 blah, then
Yeah, he caught on to that shit real quick.
But I was on at Stir Crazy 3 weeks in a row, and I did 3 weeks in a row of new stuff, and it helped elevate me in my very beginning.
And you got film. It's because, again, very good film.
That was the other thing. Yeah, they had film, but it helped elevate me on the scene by I had back to back really good sets.
Yeah.
And
what's the craziest thing marketing wise you think you ever done
explain
for comedy? Have you ever done anything like just weird marketing wise, trying to get your name out there?
So when I was single, I used to use Hinge, and I had that clip from Stir Crazy of like I cut right before what I said, and then there's that clip where I just stood there for like 30 seconds and people were laughing.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then I just put the mic up and walked off stage.
Yeah,
I put that on my Hinge because you can use video on your profile.
Yeah,
and man, the inbox was full of I have to know this joke. Like, oh, you're a comedian? I have to know this. And I'm like, great, I'm gonna be doing a show here, and I know when you tell a girl that, girls the way they are, they always bring a group.
Yeah.
So yeah, bring your friends. And it worked. I would get like groups of girls to come to the shows.
That's actually amazing.
So I was like,
Shout out Hinge.
Yeah, I was like, that makes, dude. One of the funniest things, my buddy, I talked about this on the last episode, but he,
Yeah.
so he did a duet on TikTok.
Oh yeah. You were saying
And
he's
it got
doing all these
million-
stupid.
It got like
Followers,
It
yeah.
got almost 1 million likes, and then they blocked. Like they did, TikTok made him take it down
Why?
because he did like some duet video, and it was like nod your head to the sound of this beat, and whatever initial you draw with your nose is the initial of your crush.
Yeah.
And so he did it, and he did like this, and it did like a swastika.
Stop.
And it's funny because like the duet was with a black guy. It's so funny, bro. Oh, it's so funny. And it was just like
Holy shit.
all these comments were just like, here before this goes viral, here before this hits 1 million. And it didn't have just like 1 million views. It got up to like 996,000 likes. Like people would kill for 1 million views. This thing almost had 1 million likes.
That's hilarious.
And then
Jesus Christ.
he blew, but then he was like, this was like in TikTok's like early days. He was like, I'm gonna learn how to grow my TikTok. And
Yeah.
I remember coming over to his house.
Oh yeah, you talked about it where you walking in and him doing these stupid dances.
Yeah.
That's what TikTok was early. Like I remember during the pandemic, it was like you have to do the renegade. You have to do like stupid, dumb ass dances that were like viral though.
Yeah. So he put in like all this work. Like he bought like a master course. Like I always told him to do. I was like, yo, like the reason a lot of times like I used to make a lot of money. I used to spend more of it on master classes. Like,
Yeah,
let me learn this.
I'd always see those advertisements.
Yeah, and so he bought this course on how to go viral and like grow your TikTok.
Yeah,
And within like a month, he had like 100,000 followers, and then he was doing lives all the time, and he was getting paid during his lives.
yeah.
And
I've talked to a few people that's literally all they do now.
yeah, because I remember like he was kind of like my like I mentored him a lot because he was younger than me.
Was this the guy that moved down with you initially?
He didn't move with me, but he like moved down here a couple months after me.
Yeah.
But he I like took him. I would like just put him on to stuff that I've learned. Be like,
Yeah.
oh, he'd be interested in this, and like put him on. And he found some app for Tinder called Swiperoo that auto swipes.
Oh my God.
And when you have premium Tinder, you could like swipe all over the world. And he just got on Swiperoo and like set his Tinder up with it, so it would swipe all day. And then his bio on his Tinder is said, "Don't ask me about my TikTok."
Reverse psychology.
So genius, bro. I was like, bro, that was a
the
proud,
simplicity in that is genius.
it was a proud moment for me.
Yeah.
And then
Don't ask me about my TikTok.
remember, like I wrote a book and it was like a #1 bestseller, and I put him onto it, and he knew he just had this huge audience on TikTok,
Yeah.
and he just wrote like a 30-page like self-help like motivational book, and he would just go on his lives and promote it, and like
Just-
#1 bestseller. Like, he he was just flipping books.
What do you have to do? You know the statistics of what you have to hit?
Yeah, so my journey to being a number one bestseller was because you always see books that say New York Times bestseller.
Bestseller, yeah, it's like a selling point.
I believe, you could fact check me, but I believe that means you sell 50,000 copies of your book in a week.
Oh, okay. So in the first week of release, you have to hit 50,000.
Something like that. That's what makes you a New York Times bestseller. But, you know, you can be an Amazon bestseller. You can be an Amazon bestseller for selling lug nuts, you know, but you can do it for books. Amazon actually started as a bookstore.
Yeah. Just it was just selling books, man.
So, okay, so yeah, my journey with that was so I used to be one of the best
That's correct.
I used to run one of the top insurance sales teams in the country. Like I was really good at it.
Yeah.
I don't have that. Just like I was telling you, like the younger kids have the energy to protest. Where I'm like, a lot of shit pisses me off now, but I don't got the energy. What?
Can I get?
I was like, all I do is make jokes about it now, but I don't have the energy for it, like you kids do.
Yeah.
And it's like same with that sales game. It was like at a certain point in my life, like I had the energy to do that door to door work, that grind.
Yeah.
But, and then I was like, I built up enough money and invested enough in a bunch of different places that I was like, I have some time to, and I tried doing the sports agency thing, and
yeah, that was crazy to me when you.
But I also kept my insurance business because my homie from insurance was like, you know, we should do. He like put me onto this book and was like, it was about how to sell life insurance remotely. And I was like, okay, and so I read that book religiously, and like while I was doing the sports agency on the side, I was like, still doing insurance because how else am I making money?
Yeah, exactly. Because sports agency has to be funded.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, that's the thing. Like, if I'm an entrepreneur, it's gonna be really hard for me to go work for a sports agency. Like, and it's like that Jerry Maguire movie where he's just like, you know, they're just similar to insurance. You know, you don't really give a shit about the client in a lot of ways. You're just like, and you're working for this big firm. I was like, yeah, that wouldn't be me. But also to get those clients, you need money because if you're looking at athletes, what do they want?
Yeah.
Gear to look cool on
drip.
Social media. Yeah, just like stupid shit. And it's like my budget is negative 7,000. So
I'm starting off in the red.
yeah, like my angle on it was more on the financial.
What do you think doing that helped you with as far as comedy?
I think it was just like one of those transition points of.
It's a different kind of sales.
It was a transition point of moving away from. Here's the thing. Here's how I'll put it. It was something I had always talked about wanting to do, and then after doing it, realized, fuck this. But I wasn't 20 years later sitting there going, man, I always wanted to start a sports agency. I did it. I learned a lot about what I didn't want to know, and was like, okay, yeah, I would still consider doing a sports agency, but I would need to already have a brand. And like Gary Vee has a sports agency, but is he managing the athletes? No, he has people doing it.
No, exactly, because he's the brand, he's the face, and I mean that's where you want to be with anything.
Exactly. I was like, that's where I would come back to it at. But
Your reputation.
Other than that, like managing players day to day, like my breaking point in doing, because I did basketball players overseas. My breaking point, let alone the license. To get the license, you either have to have a law degree or you have to pass the written test.
Okay.
And I got a perfect score. I was like
That's crazy.
One of the few people that got a perfect score on the test. But I went all the way to Switzerland for it, because that's where the headquarters are.
Jesus Christ.
And yeah, I was off and moving with that. My breaking point, let alone the fee to be an agent every year was a $1,500 fee.
Holy fuck.
Right. I mean, that's not a lot, but if you're not making anything, that's a lot.
Then it's a lot.
That's how I mean. It was like adulting is realizing that 1,000 isn't a lot of money, but it's a lot of money to owe somebody.
That's so on point.
Yeah.
That is. Yeah.
So 1,500. So
yeah.
in FIBA, It's not like the NBA. FIBA's pretty standard. They pay you 10% of the player's salary. Like it's like a written, it's a written thing. And I had 2 players that I had gotten deals for in a country. I'd secured them deals for $3,000 a month with room and board and food all covered. So they would go and play for 6 months, come home with 18 grand if they don't spend it, and all their other expenses are covered while they're out there. And they've included medical insurance, like a car. Like I negotiated those things, and I was like super happy. And all these players are always like, "Do you have something for me? Do you have a deal for me?" And I was like, "Bro, I don't get paid unless I'm like an injury attorney, bro. I'm like, we don't get paid unless you get paid. I'll fucking let you know if we got something."
It's beneficial to me too.
You have my fucking word on that.
I swear to Christ.
Yeah, and so nothing. My business partner and I broke up, and it was just me running by myself. Boom. As soon as we broke up, this coach hits me up about one of my guys, and then he asks, and I'm like, check out my point guard. And he was like, well, dude, this guy I had who was my point guard, 2-time all defensive player in the MAC conference at Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, 2-time, and in his junior season, he averaged 7 assists a game.
Damn.
I'm like, only problem was, and this is why I couldn't get him to Europe, the only problem was he shot the 3 at like 21%.
Oh my God.
And in Europe,
how many shots did he take per game?
I don't remember that number.
But he couldn't put it up. He was Eric Snow, basically.
Something, but like great defender and great distributor. But like in Europe, the way they play is you're allowed to play a 2-3 zone, unlike the NBA. So you have to be able to shoot. Like that's a given.
Because it's a zone.
And so, can't shoot. So nobody there wants him. Plus, he had a assault and battery charge that like he ended up.
I like how you glossed over that initially.
Well, I mean that's a big deal when you're trying to play overseas because they can only take on a certain amount of Americans. And all these players playing.
It's 2, right?
It depends what league.
Okay.
Some is, and it varies on every scale. That's why, like, if you have dual citizenship somewhere, you can play pro way easier. Like, I knew a guy who played pro that was like, "You play pro?" But he had like German citizenship.
Oh, so it's like, it's easy money.
Yeah, and so they look at like what kind of person you are, because being at this level, you got to be a professional.
Yeah.
Like you would get up and go to your job. Like you got to be a professional at what you do. So if they Google your name, and you can't anymore. But when you would Google this guy's name, he was like, the whole first page of Google was like that article of like him assaulting his baby mom. But the charges actually got dropped and he was found not guilty, but it was still on Google.
Yeah, it's still, it's not a great reputation to have.
Right. And they eventually got removed. It's fucked up because like the student, the head of the student newspaper is the one who like put that article out there.
Jesus Christ.
Just
fucking put him through the ringer.
Threw his alumni under the bus. Probably some white girl. But like,
anyway,
so I had this kid, and I had this other big kid, 6'10", really good. I had originally he had horrible stats in Germany, and if you have like one bad year, everyone's like, eat shit. Like you gotta, it's a business, and so where there's not one, there's plenty more, and so he played in like the German second league, I believe, but he got invited there because like their starting center got hurt and they needed a backup for a few games, and he averaged like 4 points a game, nothing crazy, like 4 points, 2 rebounds, or maybe the other way around. Not great. And so now he couldn't get offers anywhere, and he was plenty good to play. And so I found this league in Armenia, where the Kardashians are from. I found this league in Armenia.
Yeah, well, allegedly.
And
maybe not Chloe.
I sat him down, and he lived close to me in Oregon, and I sat him down and was like, "Yo, I got an option for you.
Yeah.
Nobody else wants you because of your numbers. Like that's what the feedback is." Mm-hmm. That's what I did in the summertime. I held a pro, like what would you call it, like an exposure camp basically at my old college, and we just brought in a bunch of guys who wanted to play pro, and I just scouted out who I wanted from there, and I took this kid and took him from his agent. He had some agent in Europe, and I was like, yeah. And I even paid the fees. Like I paid the fee to like, because if you are,
it just didn't work out for you.
No, well, so here's my why I didn't end up.
Yeah. Let's.
I got these.
Bring it home.
I got these two kids who are both like, well, I didn't tell you about Armenia.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I sent this kid to Armenia.
Motherfucker.
But I sat him down and I said, this is a shitty league.
Yeah.
You're going to put up big numbers, and we're going to use that.
As your resume.
Correct. And he did. He went and averaged like 20 and 16. Problem was, they weren't paying him. And like, he was living off, like his parents were sending him money, and he was using like credit cards to get by.
Jesus.
He ended up leaving at some point. Like I had to like talk him off the ledge so many times. Like, just a couple more months, bro.
Yeah.
And they never paid me. And then he eventually left. And then he came home. And right when he came home, I got him a deal. And then I pitched my point guard and got him a deal. And so both of them were going to get $3,000 a month. At $6,000 a month, I was going to get $600 a month for the next 6 months, $1,800, which would have covered my licensing fee and kept me going. But
it didn't happen.
got the contracts, dude. I got him through DocuSign. I was like, I got him.
Yeah.
Both guys ghosted me after asking me for months about this shit. Both guys ghosted me, and I was like, God fucking damn it, dude.
God's plan.
Yeah. So, and then I realized, I was like, why am I dealing with these people? Like, I initially wanted to deal with people who are going to make a lot of money, so that I could help them with other things that wasn't basketball. Like, hey, let's invest your money here. So I know a lot about investing. I don't have the capital myself, but you do, and
Exactly.
we can figure some things out that would be good moves for everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would never. Anyways, and so writing the book, in that time, I was also learning insurance. Like, I was learning how to build websites and run Facebook ads and all that. And so I wrote a book because my friend was like, "Yo, you know, you can just like write a book with like Google Voice to type." I was like, pfft. So I wrote a book.
You did it all through voice to type?
Yeah, I wrote this book on how to start your life and health insurance, or how to run your life and health insurance business remotely. And
it sold 10,000 in the
no,
5,000. I mean,
no, I did
what
it. I did it at the end of 2019, and then it was just for me to say I wrote a book.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and I took the book down, made some edits, re-released it, and I got in all the insurance Facebook groups, because insurance, like for Medicare and a lot of life insurance still, agents would go to your home.
Yeah.
And like Medicare, remember old people during COVID was like the one group you couldn't be around.
Yeah.
And so I was in all these groups like, hey, I wrote this book for people that want to transition the business, that need to. And dude, overnight, I was the #1 best-selling author, new author. And then I was like, I never even thought about that. And then I went and looked, and I was the #2 bestseller in life insurance and health insurance on Amazon. And I was like, the only person that was beating me was this lady named Susie Orman, who's like the female Dave Ramsey.
That's amazing.
And I was like, how do I do that? And so I fucking went deep down the rabbit hole of like how to be a #1 best-selling author. Because I was like, I'm right there. I'm #2. How the fuck? And I found this software that you can get. I can't remember the name of it, but you can see how many books are being sold in that category that are #1.
Yeah.
Through like number 10. And so, dude, she's selling like 10,000 books a week. I'm like, oh yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
And so I wrote another book later that year that was more niche, and it was for like people that are retirement age, how to insure their retirement from like market crashes and things like that, and how to protect themselves after they leave their job. And you know, like Medicare, Joe Namath would endorse it. I had Fran Tarkenton, who's like a Hall of Fame quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. And I was like, he ran like a big, in insurance, what you do is there's different levels to it, but there's somebody who gets the contract through these life insurance companies, and then you sign with them and you get like a certain commission structure.
Yeah.
And based on how much they help you or not is how much they take from you. These guys don't really do much.
Yeah.
They have resources, so I signed with them, I was doing like life insurance and annuities, and Fran Tarkenton was like the guy who ran it, and I was like, I have an idea. And I wrote a quote out. I wrote this whole like quote out to put on the front of my book and sent it to them, and I was like, can I get him to sign off on this? And he was like, yeah, that's cool. And then he signed a bunch of copies, and so I had like, and
you had a celebrity endorsement.
Yeah, and then I had like
in a sense,
I had a number, and so I learned with that, like, you need to sell a certain amount within just like, you know,
a week,
a certain
like
time frame.
Yeah, time frame.
And I just like I took a class on how to do that, and I did this, and I put a book out there with a ton of value, and then did that, and was like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. And then and like my buddy who did that, I was like, this is how you do it. And so
it seems like you're always trying to find a way to market yourself.
I mean, you have to, especially when you're making money for yourself.
Yeah,
because like
that's what I mean. It's just like you always find a way to market yourself.
Are you saying in general or just me?
No, I mean over the course of everything you do. Because like even when I first saw you at Golden Margarita, Eric's mic, Eric Bernal, he had the money mic there. But what stuck out to me was that you dressed up as an Australian person.
Yeah.
Joe Wallaby.
You know where I got that idea from was when I was in Portland. That's why I went to Adam J, because
I wish I recorded it.
I was blacklisted. My initial thought was, after I bombed it so hard that night and ran my time and broke all the rules, I was like, I'm gonna go back under a different name and dress up.
Yeah.
And then take the disguise off and be like, I'm back.
It was me the whole time.
I'm back, bitches. But but I was like, nah, maybe not. But I was like, Golden Margarita, low stakes, and
yeah.
Well, I bought it. I went to Spirit. I think it was during Halloween time. I went to Spirit, bought a wig and had sunglasses, and I put a mask on, so nobody knew who I was, and I wore like a trench coat, and then just pulled up. Yeah, and probably a miserable performance, but the funny thing is that I dressed up like that. That was another one of those things that early on here in the scene that I made a name for myself by doing that.
Yeah, it stuck out to me, and I was just like, because like it was so niche, like you doing the shoey, because that's like such a niche thing. Like unless you know, like you're like, why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah, people were very confused. I thought everyone knew about that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, not you were under the assumption that people were intelligent or worldly in any way.
I do fail to understand that sometimes.
Yeah,
I have to remember to have no expectations of people. Yeah. The funny thing is, and that's what I would say about comedy too. I talked about that with Dez on the last episode. I was like, comedy contests, they are what they are. Like I didn't even finish in the top 3 during that night when I dressed up like that.
Yeah,
but everyone remembered that set.
Exactly.
I was like, so people that win comedy contests a lot of time win because the club is like, this is the safe bet that we can then abuse to be a host for whatever we can,
or whatever they're
you know. And yeah, like how many people have won the last comic standing that you remember their name?
Almost nobody.
But the person who finished second or third.
Yeah.
That's a crazy thing that I learned about just the industry and how things work. That was kind of eye-opening. It's one of those things where you're like, oh, I should have known that was probably how they operate. I just never thought about it. Is when I was at this comedy festival in San Luis Obispo, one of the guys, a lot of people there had agents and managers, and one of the dudes was talking about how Last Comic Standing is just like American Idol, where they would have, you get your 60 seconds to audition, but they only pick like 8 to 10 people or something to move on to the next like audition, and they put on this whole show of that. Hey, we gave everyone a fair chance, but the managers and bookers had 8 of those spots booked already for their people. And so
it was already predetermined for those spots.
Well, yeah, and the only 2 other people that they chose were like people that they could do an entire background story on. And so I was like, oh.
Because it's entertainment at that point.
Yeah, like you always wonder that watching American Idol, like they would do a whole like 10-minute segment sometimes on someone's background.
You're like, how do they have a time to do that? How do they know all that?
And I knew like this one girl had a sister who went on American Idol. Really good singer. I mean, I don't know shit about music, but I'm like, really good.
Yeah.
Not through, but like
subjectively amazing, yeah.
Right? Like that's the best singer I've ever heard in person.
Yeah.
And so the same thing went with that show, is like, oh, it's a fair chance. But like, nah, there's
No,
these spots.
it's entertainment. At the end of the day, there's money on the line.
He was talking about how he was there with all his other homies, and they were like, "Yeah, man, we're gonna do this," and he knew like standing in line that like his 1 minute audition didn't matter.
Yeah,
And,
really.
like, had to just pretend that like, hey, don't tell anyone that you're booked on this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was an interesting, eye-opening moment.
There's a few of them, you know. When you get higher up, you see how things run and how they operate, and even just bookers out here and things like that.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, you could see that from a mile away. You're like, oh, this producer's headlining this other producer's show that was headlining his show last week. Like, oh, it's
surprise.
But I get why that would happen.
You got to play the game.
And then people that a lot of people that fucking suck at comedy all have to stick together. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Funny Truth Podcast with Gatsby the Artist. If you haven't yet, please subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review if you want to know more about a topic, if there's a certain guest you want me to bring on, if there's something that you think could be better about the show. Let me know in the review. Let me know in the comments, because I do read all of them, and I will do everything I can to put out a better show every week for those of you who listen. Thank you so much. This is Adam J., and you've listened to the Funny Truth Podcast.
That is the funny truth.